So far, we've only been working with conversions that require only one step. There are many cases when conversions require multiple steps to get the desired unit. And the way we're going to do this is just string together the unity fractions that we're going to multiply. So for instance, how many minutes are in a week? I don't know a direct conversion between minutes and weeks, but I do know a conversion from weeks to days, days to hours, and hours to minutes. So we're going to start with 1 week. I'm going to multiply it by the unity fraction. There are 7 days in a week. So there's 7 days per week. Okay, weeks cancel. That's what we want. And now I'm going to string together another unity fraction. So I want to go from days to hours. I'm going to just go multiply it by 24 hours in 1 day. Days cancel. And now I want minutes, right? So I'm going to multiply it by 60 minutes in 1 hour. And so now the hours cancel as well. And the only unit that's left is minutes on top and bottom, which is exactly what we want. So altogether, we're going to do 1 times 7 times 24 times 60 on top. Doing that gives me 10,080 minutes. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. All the units have canceled already, so we're just going to have over 1. In other words, there are 10,080 minutes in a week. Okay, how many square inches are in 10 square feet? So square inches in square feet, this is an area measurement. So square inches looks like this, inches squared, which is the same thing as inch times inch. Square feet is feet squared, or feet times feet. That's what an exponent means. It's just multiplying by itself that many times. In this case, multiplying by itself twice. So if we have 10 square feet, 10 square feet or 10 feet squared, same idea. I know there are 12 inches in a foot, so I'm going to multiply this by 12 inches in a foot. The problem is that this will only cancel with one of these factors. There are two of them here, right? There are 2 feet being multiplied here. Everything's multiplying, so that's how we can cancel. So that means we need to multiply it by, again, 12 inches over 1 foot. Because there's now 2 of them on bottom. Feet times feet is feet squared, and that will cancel with this feet squared. So that, and those cancel each other. What I'm left with is 10 times 12 times 12. That's going to be 144 times 10 is 1,440. Inch times inch is inch squared over 1. In other words, there's 1,440 inches squared in 10 square feet, or 10 feet squared. Okay, Brian needs 10 cups of fruit juice to make a sangria. How many quarts of juice does he need to buy? So I know there are 2 cups to a pint, and there are 2 pints to a quart. And so what I can do is I can string together these 2 unity fractions to get there. So either I can do 10 cups times, we're going to do 1 pint. Oops, no, we're going to do 2 cups is 1 pint. And then we're going to convert that to quarts. That's what we want. So we're going to do 2 pints is 1 quart. And so you can see that the cups cancel and the pints cancel. We're left with quarts, which is what we want. So we get 10 on top, 10 quarts. And 1 times 2 times 2 is just 4 on bottom. There are no units on bottom. And this is the same thing as 2.5 quarts. That's how much fruit juice he needs to buy. Now you can also just look at this, these 2 conversions and say, well, if there's 2 cups to 1 pint, and there's 2 pints to 1 quart, that means that they're going to be 2 times 2. It's going to be 4 cups to 1 quart. And this is a direct conversion between cups and quarts. If you see that's great. You can use that direct conversion to just do one step in the unit conversion. But if you don't see that, you can always just string together unit conversions like this, and that will get you to the desired unit. Okay, Raldo wants it to carpet a room measuring 9 feet by 10 feet, or 9 times 10 is 90, feet times feet squared in area. So there's 90 feet squared for this room. The carpet is bought in square yards, however, not square feet. So he buys 30 square feet since he knows that 1 yard equals 3 feet. Did he order the correct amount? This should actually be yards squared. Is 90 feet squared the same thing as 30 yards squared? Well, all we have to do is take 90 feet squared and do a unit conversion. It's feet squared like that. There are 3 feet to 1 yard, so 1 yard over 3 feet. That'll cancel one factor. I need 2 of them though, so I'm going to multiply it by again. 1 yard over 3 feet. And now feet times feet is feet squared, so those will cancel. And we're left with yard times yard, which is yard squared, which is what we want. So we're going to have 90 on top, 90 yards squared, over 3 times 3 is 9 on bottom, which is going to be 10 yards squared. He only needed 10 yards squared, not 30 yards squared. So he bought way too much. So his mistake was, of course, only doing a single unit conversion. 90 divided by 3 is 30. He needed to do 2 of them to get the correct unit. Okay, how many minutes is between 12 a.m. on January 1st, 1980 to 12 p.m. on January 1st, 2013? So there's a couple of things we have to know about this. The first thing that occurs to me is there a leap year in here? Of course there are. 1980 was a leap year, and then that means every 4 years, so 84, 88, 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, and 2012. All of those would be leap years. So that was 80, so 80, 84, 88, 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012. 9 leap years in that time frame. We also, of course, have to know how many years are in that time frame, right? So that's not too hard to do. We're just going to do 2013 minus 1980. That gives us 33 years. So we have how many years we need, and we have how many leap years. All the leap years means is that there's going to be an extra day in those years. So even though the leap years are in this, we're going to consider that, and then we're just going to add on these 9 extra days that come from the leap years, because that's all that's going to be there. And we need to know that because we need to figure out how many minutes there are. So if we can figure out how many days there are, then we can figure out how many minutes there are using the conversion from days to hours, hours to minutes. Now, there's one more thing that I can see here, and that's 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. That means that 12 a.m. already has happened before this, and from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. is an additional 12 hours. So there's an additional 12 hours on this time frame that we're considering. We're going to take 33 years. That's the main unit. And convert it to days. There are 365 days for a normal year. So we're going to just do the years, of course, cancel. We're left with days. 33 times 365 is 12,045 days in 33 years. Now we're going to add on additional 9 days to this. So I'm going to add on 9 days to this, and that's going to give me 12,054 days. Okay, now we need to convert this to hours because I want minutes, right? So I'm going to do 12,045 days. There are 24 hours in one day. Days cancel. Sorry, it's 12,054 days. That's the days we wanted to use here. There is 289,296 hours in this time frame. And of course, we have an additional 12 hours we want to consider. So we're going to add on 12 hours to this. And that's going to give us 289 308 hours. All right, we are almost there. We just have to do one more conversion, and that's going to go from hours to minutes. So I'm going to do, I just made this stuff smaller so that I had a little bit more room. So now we need to take this 289,308 hours and change to minutes. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. It's going to give us a total of 17,358 480. So it's 17,358,480 minutes are in this time frame. All right, a container is 16 inches long, 2 feet wide, and 1 yard in height. What is the volume in cubic feet? So volume is going to be length times width times height. So we're going to do 16 times 2 times 1. However, we don't want different units. If we have different units, then our answer is going to be, 16 times 2 is 32 inch times feet times yard, which doesn't make much sense. We want to have the same unit, and that's what's given to us here in cubic feet. So we're going to make everything in feet. What we can do is we can just actually multiply these numbers together. So we're going to go 16 inches over 1 times 2 feet over 1 times 1 yard over 1. And before just multiplying that out, let's actually multiply it by the unit conversions to change them to feet. I need to change inches to feet, so I'm going to multiply it by 1 foot is 12 inches. And I'm going to multiply, change the yards to feet. So there's going to be 3 feet to a yard, so we're going to be 3 feet to 1 yard. And as long as my units are correct, then I know my answer is correct. Inches cancels, yards cancel, and I'm left with feet times feet times feet, or feet cubed, cubic feet, which is what I want. Okay, now I can reduce. I have a 12 down here. I can cross cancel this 3 here, and that's going to be 4. And then 4 can reduce with that 16 to make 4 on top. So we have 4 times 2 times a bunch of 1s. It's going to be 8. A bunch of 1s on bottom, so 8 over 1, just 8. Feet times feet times feet is feet cubed. That is my volume in cubic feet. Okay, how many centuries are in 164,240 days? There is a century is 100 years. So we're going to ask how many years is this, and then we can convert that to centuries. So if we have 164,240 days, there are 365 days in 1 year. We're just not going to worry about leap years. And then we're going to multiply this by, we want to convert years to centuries. So we're going to have 100 years. That way years cancel for 1 century. Okay, and days cancel and years cancel, leaving me with just centuries, which is what I want. So I'm going to end up having 164,240 divided by 365 times 1,000. So doing that on a calculator, 164,240 divided by 365 times 1,000 is just going to be 36,500. And I'm going to round to two places, 4.50 centuries. So it's just shy of 4.50. It's just below it, 4.4997, and it continues on. But that's how many centuries are in this many days. Okay, finally, does it take more cups or gallons to measure the amount of water in a large pot? So the large pot quantity of water we're measuring is the same amount. And we're going to measure it with gallons and measure it with cups. And the question is, which one does it take more of? Let's say that in a large pot, there's like, I don't know, 500 ounces, food ounces, and you can convert that to cups and gallons. But the whole point of this is to recognize that there are 2 cups to 1 pint. There are 2 pints to 1 quart. And there are 4 quarts to 1 gallon. So if you wanted to, we can actually find a direct conversion between cups and gallons. 2 cups for each pint. There are 2 pints to 1 quart, which means there's going to be 4 cups to 1 quart. If there's 4 cups to 1 quart and there's 4 quarts to 1 gallon, we're going to have 4 times 4 is going to be 16 cups to 1 gallon. Cups is a smaller unit of measurement. Gallons is a bigger unit of measurement. If you're measuring the same amount of water, there's going to end up being more cups than there are going to be gallons. That's the reason why we have different sized measurements, is so that, for smaller quantities, we can use smaller unit of measurements. And for larger quantities, we can use bigger units of measurements so that it's easier to measure them. So there's going to be more cups because it's a smaller unit of measurement. And this is an important concept, especially when we move on into the SI or metric system, is that sometimes we're going to want to measure with a larger size quantity, and we're going to have less to measure with, or we're going to only need less numbers to measure with. And this is directly the reason why a smaller unit of measurement takes more to measure the same quantity as a bigger unit of measurement does.